Brave rescue team battles giant python to save helpless elephant. What happens next? It was early in the morning when the first signs of trouble appeared. The air was still, the soft hum of the savannah only broken by the occasional call of a bird. But beneath the quiet, there was something amiss. A distress cry unlike any other broke through the calm, a loud trumpet strained and filled with anguish. It was the cry of an elephant in distress. A wildlife officer, accustomed to handling the unexpected, responded to the urgent call. As she arrived at the scene, her eyes scanned the vast grasslands. The sight she met was unexpected yet undeniable. A young elephant, no older than 5, was struggling in a small park-like area. Its legs were tangled in the thick coils of a massive python, its body caught in the serpent's grip. The large muscular snake had wrapped itself around the elephant's legs, pulling it to the ground. The elephant's attempts to break free only made things worse. Its legs, now caught tightly in the snake's grasp, couldn't move. Its body strained under the weight, but the snake held firm, tightening with each move the elephant made. The officer's heart tightened at the sight, but there was no time to waste. The young elephant's panicked movements echoed through the air, but it was clear that it was struggling not just from physical exhaustion, but from an overwhelming sense of helplessness. Its massive body was weighed down, unable to break free from the snake's coils. The officer's first instinct was to act swiftly, but experience tempered her haste. She knew that any wrong move could send the already panicked elephant into a frenzy. She kept a steady pace, moving toward the animal slowly, her eyes never leaving its trembling form. As she approached, the officer observed the situation. The python's body was wrapped tightly around the elephant's hind legs, with its head somewhere beneath the elephant's large frame, making the task of removing it even more challenging. The elephant's breathing was labored, every exhale a soft grunt of distress. There was no growl, no roar, just the sound of the elephant's struggle. The officer signaled to her team to move closer but to remain cautious. Every small movement mattered. She was keenly aware of the risk. An elephant's sheer size and strength could turn an already dangerous situation into something far worse. As the officer slowly approached the elephant, she could see its confusion. It was unable to comprehend the situation, why it was trapped, why it couldn't move. The officer's heart went out to the creature. She knew that as strong and resilient as elephants were, even they had moments of vulnerability. And this was one of those moments, but this was also where her training kicked in, and where her bond with nature's creatures would help guide her actions. The elephant's eyes, large and round, turned toward her. There was no aggression in its gaze, only a flicker of confusion and exhaustion. The officer took a deep breath, her hand raised slightly in a quiet gesture of reassurance. Her voice, soft yet steady, broke the silence. "We're here to help you." The elephant's ear flicked just slightly, acknowledging her presence. She understood. It wasn't just the elephant's struggle that needed attention now. It was the way to approach it, carefully, with patience and precision, ensuring that the animal's fear wouldn't escalate. The officer moved closer, her body language calm, signaling to the team behind her to be equally cautious. The snake, sensing the disturbance, tightened its hold even further. The officer could feel the tension in the air, but she didn't hesitate. She knew this would require every ounce of her patience, and more than that, her respect for the creature in front of her. The officer arrives at the scene to find a young elephant caught in the coils of a massive python. The elephant's confusion and desperation become evident as it struggles to free itself. The officer's calm demeanor, patience, and experience guide the next steps of the rescue. The officer's team worked swiftly, setting up a rope ladder to reach the trapped elephant. With each careful movement, the python tightened its grip on the young elephant's legs, but the officer remained calm, guiding her team with soft commands. The elephant, exhausted and confused, watched them quietly, its eyes filled with fear but also trust. As the officer carefully untangled the snake's coils, the elephant remained still, allowing her to work. The tension in its body slowly eased with every release of the snake's grip, and its breathing slowed slightly. The officer moved gently, aware that even the smallest misstep could provoke panic. The animal's legs were finally free, and the officer stepped back, giving the young elephant space to adjust. The jungle was silent, the only sounds the soft rustling of the leaves and the elephant's slow breaths. The officer remained at a distance, watching as the elephant, now free, took its first shaky steps. The relief was evident, but the journey to recovery would take time. The officer frees the elephant from the snake's grip with great care. The animal begins to regain its strength, and while the immediate danger is gone, the elephant's path to recovery remains uncertain. The officer stood motionless, her eyes fixed on the young elephant as it cautiously took a few steps away from the rescue site. Its body was still unsteady, its legs trembling from the strain, but it was walking. The freedom that had seemed so distant just hours ago now felt tangible, though it came with the quiet understanding that the journey ahead was not without its challenges. The elephant, no longer trapped, moved slowly toward the edge of the savannah. The officer took a deep breath, watching intently. There was no triumphant roar, no moment of celebration. The elephant simply walked. The calm, measured steps were as much a sign of its exhaustion as they were of its strength. The officer's heart swelled with a quiet sense of accomplishment. She knew this was the beginning of its recovery, not the end. The elephant had been freed, but survival in the wild was never guaranteed. The jungle would test it as it tested all creatures, but for now, the officer had done what she could. The silence was deep, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves in the breeze and the distant calls of birds. The officer remained at a distance, allowing the elephant the space it needed to find its own footing. As it moved, its body swayed with each step, its movement slow but deliberate. There was something poetic in the way it carried itself. Even in the midst of exhaustion, it was a creature of the wild, its resilience a quiet force that mirrored the calm strength of the land around it. The elephant paused for a moment, lifting its head to scan the surrounding area. Its large, dark eyes met the officer's for just a second, a brief, unspoken exchange. There was no need for words. The recognition between them was silent but profound. The officer, her heart heavy with both pride and uncertainty, felt that the moment of trust they shared had been a quiet but significant one. She had helped the young elephant, but in doing so, had witnessed something deeply moving: the animal's instinct to survive, its quiet acceptance of the help offered, and its desire to return to its natural path. Without a sound, the elephant turned and continued moving toward the dense brush at the edge of the savannah. Its steps became more assured with each moment, though it still moved carefully, its muscles stiff from the trauma of its ordeal. The officer, watching from a distance, felt the weight of the moment settle in her chest. There was no dramatic finale. The elephant simply walked away, its journey now its own. The officer stood still, allowing the creature the space it needed to disappear into the wild. As the young elephant's silhouette faded into the trees, the officer slowly exhaled, her body relaxing just slightly. There was no need to follow it, no need to try and control the situation any further. The elephant had found its freedom. It would walk its path as it always had. The officer had given it a chance, and in doing so had witnessed a moment of quiet, profound connection. The jungle around her began to stir once more, the rustling of leaves and the call of distant animals returning to the air. The officer turned slowly, her gaze lingering on the spot where the elephant had disappeared. It was a moment of silent understanding, one that would remain with her long after the savannah had returned to its rhythm. She had stepped back as nature intended, but the moment of connection would stay in her heart, a reminder of the fragile, beautiful balance between human and wild. The young elephant, free from the snake's grip, walks away into the wild, slowly regaining its strength. The officer watches quietly, knowing that the animal's journey is far from over. In their shared moment of trust, both human and animal recognize the value of freedom and space, marking a profound, silent connection.